in this house. There's some hoes in this house. There's some hoes in this house. There's some hoes in this house.
I said Gordon Allport, lived to 70, worked in Harvard and studied personality. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yes, he spoke about the adult self, talked about the concept of functional autonomy, gave everything he got for this area of study. Idolized Mr. Sigmund Freud, wanted to be extra unique though, so he focused on conscious thoughts. He put it all into three parts: cardinal, central, and then secondary. These are the traits that makes up personality. When again, super ego and it caught Mr. Freud by surprise. Freud studied the unconscious mind. Allport was much more concerned with individual characteristics. Now let's take a step back, look at Freud and Allport, how they met, what they did. Pay attention, she's about to sing. Allport was fresh as meat. Freud was the famous guy, broke the ice with a story about dead to Freud. Freud found out that Allport was a stories boy. He talked shit about Freud, said that Freud cared about the past, rejected Freud news, and then went on to study conscious motive, though he never had Freud's views. Now him and Freud parted ways, but Freud left an impact, made Allport wonder if there was a better way. So Allport made the first non-Freudian theory of personality. Now make it rain if you wanna learn more about this. Look, he argued that adults could be more rational, that only neurotics are influenced by the unconscious regard the future, present, not the past. Allport believed in studying normal folks, argued that there was no reason to compare between normal and neurotics. We're gonna study, hope you keep up. Come on, listen, open your ears. Let's group 2, bring you this rap. Remember that it was about Allport and his meeting with Freud. That's what it's all about. Took this topic and made it lit. Just take notes till 4 minutes to go. Don't get bored, we've got a little bit explain you to do, so hear us out.
Thank you guys for sitting through our entire rap. Now that we've cleaned your ears with blood, let's get down to business and review what we have learned so far. We know that Gordon Allport was a psychologist that focused on the study of normal people and what makes up their personality, as contrasted with Freud's focus on the unconscious, where he studied mostly neurotic people. Let's dive deeper into their meeting. Allport was just 22 when he decided he wanted to meet Freud. He was also rather confident that Freud would be glad to meet him. Freud, being friendly maybe, decided to invite Allport to his office. But what Allport didn't expect was that Freud would sit quietly in his office, waiting for him to state his business instead of being friendly and warm.
I can imagine it would have been rather nerve-wracking, since Freud was already such a famous figure then. Maybe that's why Allport started to blabber about a story of a small boy who had dirt phobia. In Allport's defense, he wanted Freud to stop being so quiet and engage in conversation. But Freud gave no damns about the story and instead asked if the small boy in the story was Allport himself. I would guess this really offended Allport. Or he's a really petty person, because this event inspired Allport to defy Freud's popular theories that are based on neurotic people.
So, Allport ended up becoming the man of the normal people. Must have been quite the impact Freud left, considering how he was such an icon in Allport's life. Speaking of which, we should dive into the differences in Freud and Allport's theories. Freud studied neurotic individuals, emphasized on the unconscious, inner conflicts, childhood experiences, and instincts. Going back to Allport, he emphasized on conscious motives, present behavior, uniqueness of individuals, traits, and stressed on studying mentally healthy individuals to understand human behavior. Gordon Allport's trait theory views personality as a combination of stable internal characteristics that an individual displays in a given situation. He also stated that quality or traits determine personality. Which reminds me, there are 3 categories that Allport came up with for personality: cardinal, central, and secondary. Here's an example. Get ready. Cardinal traits are dominant traits. It's like a brand name for a person. Like Trump's orange face. Trump's ugly hair. Sorry, trumps blatant sexism. Ah, that's better.
Hey, I like this example. Makes me think of Najib's greed and the audacity of him when ruining supering for everybody. Moving on to central traits. These are traits that are apparent enough, but more of supporting traits. Kinda like how you would say Uncle Roger is funny, but his supporting trait is that his abs are amazing.
They really are, aren't they? Hotter than him flaming other people for their bad fried rice. Now, looking at secondary traits. These lean more towards preferences and attitudes, like how some people prefer not to eat spicy food. Weak. Uncle Roger don't approve. Allport also talked about the concept of personal disposition, an idiographic approach which focuses on studying one person at a time to explain every human being possesses unique traits that create a type of personality in a particular situation. Compared to Allport, Freud's theory predicts typical behavior of a group of people. He analyzes group behavior, making comparisons between people while describing dynamic interactions between individuals.
I guess Gordon's trait theorist is more concerned with identifying individual characteristics, which, when combined, can be used to describe personality, and psychodynamic theory relies heavily on the dynamic forces of the subconscious to explain the perceptions and behaviors of individuals. It's really cool how one meeting had such a great impact on what we know today about personality. I guess you just gotta push the right buttons on someone to create a ripple effect. It's nice that we have options when studying personality.
Anyway, that wraps up our video for today. Thank you again for listening with your bleeding ears.